All right, welcome to Astrorisa Moon Talk Radio. I hope you all are doing well, especially during this full moon time that officially hits tomorrow. But we know that it has started at least this time 14 to 16 days before May 14th, 2014. Why? Because it has been fully seasoned and peppered with the previous April Cardinal Grand Cross. That's why. And so we know it is a combustible off the chain moment for so many people. So we have to continue to keep it cool and breezy and easy as we move forward, because this kind of energy that we're going to be dealing with for a couple of months coming down the pipe. Let's talk about this moon time. It is tomorrow again, May 14th, 2014. It's 3:16 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 23 degrees Scorpio, House 2. The Sun, Taurus, 23 degrees, in House 8. We've got 3 Proverbs with this moon time. If you are one of those who enjoys meditating during a new and full moon and you like to use the Proverbs, the first one is: do not try to fight a lion if you are not one yourself. A chattering bird builds no nests. And the third is: when a needle falls into a deep well, many people will look into the well, but few will be ready to go down after it. So what does that mean for you? And how has that played itself out? And how do you want to utilize those proverbs for yourself moving forward during this moon time? The planetary energies is always Oshupa because that is the moon. But we've got Mercury, Allegra's planet. We've got Jupiter, Abatala's planet. Saturn, Obaloye's planet. Mars, Ogun's planet. Pluto, Oya's planet. Uranus, Shango's planet. And Venus, Oshun's planet. Very, very strong energies with Ogun right now. Very strong energies. And also Obaloye's planet, Saturn. Very, very strong energies. You know, those two are in retrograde right now. So we're going to be having some experiences with that for my recent people who know the realms of Obaloye and the realms of Ogun. Yeah, really pay attention to that. And for the astrologers and people that follow the planets, you know, the realms of Saturn, you know, the realms of Mars. Pay attention to that during this time, for the next, at least the next 4 weeks. Pay attention to that, please. You know, the previous April Cardinal Grand Cross has, again, like I said, gave a lot of extra boost energy to the particular planets that were participating in that cardinal dance, but also is peppered the moon times that are going to be coming up for over a month. I'm gonna say at least let's really look out for the next 2 to 3 months because of this peppering that has occurred with this particular past Cardinal Grand Cross. A lot of turbulent energies are building. We've got moon messages. The moon in Scorpio, which is the archetype of Oya and ruled by the planet Pluto, again sitting 23 degrees in house 2. This is referring to one in this position. This is referring to one who has arrived at a new level of awareness or has lit into an abyss of mental and emotional chaos. So, are you dealing with self-delusions, or are you closely examining your own self and your worldview? Because we're definitely going to be dealing with worldviews and our personal worldviews as well. Now, as Oshupa, which is moon, opens within house 2, our emotional securities, financial securities, and moral values come to the surface for our collective consciousness to address. So we're going to be looking at some things in our life We're going to be addressing some issues that, and it's going to be on a moral level, and it's also going to be dealing with our own securities and our insecurities. So we have to look at, we're going to be doing a lot of revamping and revitalizing, tearing down. You're going to find also that a lot of people are going to cut out your life. Remember, I talked about that before. I said that the underlying theme for 2014, when I did the end of year moon forecast or karmic moon forecast for 2013, I said 2014 will be an underlying occurrence or experiences of cutting. So a lot of cutting in many different ways that's going to play itself out. We're going to be cutting people out. We're going to be opening up spaces to bring people in. So that again plays itself out during this moon time with the message about having to revamp things. So let's see, what are people going to be experiencing a lot of our on a collective conscious level? Well, during this moon time, many of us can experience something like an intense wake up call regarding what ourselves and others value, right? And what we are willing to defend. What are you willing to defend? Because those kind of situations will come up. Are you going to be defending yourself? You're going to be defending an idea. You're going to be defending someone else. But that definitely is an underlying current. And some will experience issues of like their funds drying up. Well, we've been dealing with that for a minute. But this is a hot energy. So, funds, you want to think of funds as something that's, if it's lucrative, it's an expansive, it has an expansive feel to it, very spongy, a lot of ability to expand. But in this case, that kind of thing is going to be drying up for a lot of people. And of course, that started before the full moon. But if you notice that heat is applying itself in the realm of funds. So a lot of people's funds tend to be drying up, and others can experience different forms of psychological and emotional episodes. So why is that? Because there's another undercurrent energy with this moon time, and that is the elemental problem of being out of balance. What is out of balance? Either your physical self or your spiritual self, or both. Physical selves and spiritual selves seem to be somewhat out of balance. Don't know how that's happening, but it is happening. It is playing itself out. So I mean, that is what it is. So when we have something like that going on, then what is going to happen? We've got the number two. We're in the moon is in house two. So now it's letting us know that you have to juggle something. You have to balance something. You're going to have to be able to handle something. And in this case, it's the physical and the spiritual out of balance. So are we giving too much attention to our physical self and not enough to our spiritual? Are we giving too much to our spiritual self and not enough to the physical? We have to look at that and work on building a balance in that area. Uh, we have a proverb here of when a needle falls into a deep well, right? Remember, many people will look into the well, but few will be ready to go down after it. Well, that can play itself out so many ways. I had just mentioned to you about the spiritual being less spiritual or more physical, or being more physical and less spiritual. That falls under this. Also being, again, having to juggle. But we must be able to better cope with the onslaught of sudden and unexpected changes still coming down the turnpike. Again, there's going to be a lot of financial fluctuations in the weeks and I know months to come, because it's just the energy is so intense. It's just so intense. So meditate on when a needle falls into a deep well. What is your deep well? What have you been peering into? What have you been looking at in your life and surrounding you? And why are you not ready or prepared to delve after it, dive after it, delve into that well? Maybe you should, maybe you should not. Something to investigate. We've got the proverb, do not try to fight a lion if you are not one yourself. So, during this moon time, there's going to be a lot of structural and institutional forms that are going to be influencing our lives. And institution, you've got many. You've got family institution, friendship institutions, legal institutions. You have corporate institutions. What is the institution in your life that's playing itself out? Well, it's going to be touched with Ogun's planet Mars. It's going to be touched with Venus's planet. Oshun's planet Venus. So, and Venus right now is opposite Mars and residing in House 7. Mars is in House 1. So that's going to be real interesting. So it's all about me. Don't offend me. It's all about me, 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 me. The ego's going to be real, real strong right now. So with Venus also being in House 7, and that's the natal house of Libra. So it's all this Oshun energy surrounding our relationships. So these issues with relationships and the institutions that are part of these relationships can be affected during this moon time. And so with this also comes with the heat of this moon time. It's going to be a lot of heat, a lot of rebellious situations, rebelling in relationships and the institutions. A lot of people are going to have to make some heavy choices and decisions. And it's going to be a lot of turning points. And a lot of folks are going to be off the chain. Off the chain. So we've got a lot of hot tempers. People they're thinking vengeful. They're acting out. People are going to be putting their hands on each other. I have a lot of that going on, and we saw that. What's the thing that came out with the Beyonce sister and all that? I don't know what that's all about, and I don't really want to know, to be honest. That's a family situation that they tried to keep it cool, waited till they got in the elevator, thought nobody was looking at them, and had it out. So it's really none of our business, but that's a prime example of just going off. That's a prime example of this moon time's energy. So if one isn't careful or aware during this time, if we are not careful or aware of the type of very strong energies that are influencing our collective consciousness, then these forceful experiences, cosmic forces, will bring us into a situation of forceful experiences, and they can lead us into situations where we can experience extreme loss, and extreme loss a touch of reality. It can play itself out also with people just not feeling up to par, not feeling well. We still have that Saturn energy going on there, the Obaloye energy. So we've got to keep ourselves in balance, emotionally in balance, as well as physically in balance, as well as physically balanced. There's the next proverb is, a chattering bird builds no nest. I like that. A chattering bird builds no nest. So many of us love to talk. A chattering bird builds no nest. What does that mean for you? Well, for some people, this moon time can signal events occurring which can cause some of us to end up in a hole, not knowing how and why we got there, just running off at the mouth, And next thing you know, you're in a situation and you do not know how you got there. This could be something you said months ago, could be something you said the other day. You didn't mean anything by it. Next thing you know, you're pulling the riptides of the events. Whatever it is, just make sure that, just know that, one, the issue or situation is real weak and needs strengthening. That means it needs your attention. And when you give it attention, do it without flying off the handle, because that's not going to help it at all. So just give it its attention because the situation is not stable. So, how can we move through this moon time? Well, if you subscribe to our AstrorisaMoon.com page, you can get the full and new moon time. And of course, at this point, it's still free. You just subscribe. It's a free subscription, and you can get that every month so you know what's going on. And of course, we do offer you your personal forecast, which looks at your year, or we break that down into 3 sets, which is every 4 months. So you can know what your personal cycle is, what's going to be coming up, what do you need to look out for, what can you somewhat control, what you can control. And of course, if it's something that you need some more assistance with, then we talk about that as well, because we are coming also from an Orisha Egungun perspective. So they always play a role and part in the messages that we're giving you and showing you how that's playing itself out. And one wonderful thing about these forecasts, your personal forecasts, is you begin to see your own pattern based on a particular time frame that's laid out for you. So you know that, and everyone that gets one begins to see that. We talk about it, and I check up on you, see how you're doing. But you'll begin to see that, hey, this particular time of year, this certain thing happens, so I know I need to do X, Y, Z to prepare for that, so I can move through it and it's smoother. So it's always good to get your own personal forecast. But one of the things that you can do during this moon time is some of you are going to be feeling alone or having to make lonely decisions. And so you're going to really have to work with invoking the spirit of courage. And I speak that way because so many people that follow the forecast and I speak to come from many, many different paths of spirituality. And so I want to speak in a more generic way. So I'll say to you, invoke the spirit of courage. And you use that based on your own spiritual place. What does that mean for you? But you do need courage during this moon time because there's a lot of things that we're going to have to confront. And so because we get the proverb, few will be ready to go down after that needle that goes into the well, which means then that a lot of us just feel like, well, maybe I'm not ready to handle a situation, but it has to be done because one of the main things that are also needed during this moon time to successfully maneuver through it is that you just cannot waste time. Whatever it is that you're doing, just don't waste the time. So all of it plays itself out. Remain open and mutable and fair. Remain open, mutable, and fair during this moon time so that you can direct the issues that are occurring towards a place of healing. And there's a lot of communication that's going on right now. So whatever the communication is, let it have a strong purpose and let it be positive. Definitely, we need it to be positive. And it's always good to seek your own personal consultation. That's always, always, always helpful. Seek your own personal consultation. And of course, in our system, I will say in our system, we like to get those eboleries. Some people call them rogations. Whatever that is that you call it in your system. It's always so helpful. Always so helpful. So this is our moon talk. I hope that I've given you a little something that will help you move through this moon time, because it is a very, very fiery moon time. Extremely fiery. But we can do it. We can handle it. We know what we got to do. And so that's what, just go ahead and do what you have to do to make it successful for yourself. Just pay attention. Keep it easy and be breezy, and you'll make it through. So until the next time when the moon is full, I look forward to talking to you all. Thank you for joining me for Astrorisa Moon Talk on Moon Talk Radio. You all take care of yourself, and remember to find your truest self, follow the moon. Have a good evening.